Saints drew with Wigan on Friday, but they've been forced into wholesale changes here at Odsal. Let's take a look at the table. Leeds leading the way, 100%ers in Super League. Saints tucked in just behind. The Bulls with a great chance here, though, to close the gap on the Rhinos and do their points difference a power of good. There have been some surprising wins over the holiday weekend. What a big night it is for the Tigers and the Broncos at the Jungle tomorrow. Other fixtures on this Bank Holiday Monday. Wigan against Warrington is a 3 o'clock start at the JJB. 3 o'clock also for Widnes and Hull at the Halton Stadium. Wakefield Huddersfield, 3:30 at Bellevue. And the round is almost completed by Salford and Leeds, 6 o'clock at the Willows this evening. But of course, the round will be completed Tuesday at the Jungle, the Tigers and the Broncos. It's live, 8 o'clock on Sky Sports 1. Well, the Saints have been really tested by the programme over Easter. They have a makeshift team, no fewer than 11 stars missing, but on the plus side, Martin Gleeson and Tim Yonkers return. Hardman, Gardner, Gleeson, Wilkin, Funati, young James Roby and Phil Anderton, teenagers at halfback. The forwards, Bybee, Bostock and Mason, joint Yonkers and Fasavalu. And more teenagers on the bench. Graham, Mike Roby, they're not related by the way, Cook and Ian Kenny. And the coach is Ian Millwood. And he says all of those changes have been forced on him because of the injuries collected on Friday. Bradford have got revenge on their mind after the cup tie between these two in February, when Saints knocked the holders out at the first hurdle. Withers, Vicona, Johnson, Harpy, Vinacolo, Price and Deakin. Couldn't be much stronger for Bradford, in all honesty. Vanganar, Paul the captain at hooker and Fielden, Radford, Peacock and Swan. And the bench is occupied by Anderson, Reardon, Langley and Rob Parker. The only absentees, Coe Love, who is out for the season, and Carl Pratt. And of course, young Aaron Smith is being rested as well at hooker. Chris Joynt leads the Saints out. At least they managed to maintain their unbeaten record on Friday when Sean Long's drop goal secured a point in a 21-all draw against Wigan. But they were 14-2 up at one stage on Friday, and Saints can be forgiven for thinking now it was a defeat in the cold light of day. Bradford and St Helens always attracts a huge audience, and today is no exception. The Bulls lost 26-18 at Leeds on Thursday night. Their first Super League setback of 2004. A few extra hours recovery time as they go in search of that revenge for the 30-10 defeat by St Helens in the Cup in February. But to be fair, this is a totally different St Helens side than the one that they would have thought they would be facing. Out comes Robbie Paul and the Bradford Bulls. Steve-O, the Bradford fans will be disgruntled that St Helens haven't come with a full-strength side. But injuries at this time of the year, 2 games in 3 or 4 days, they play their part.
It certainly does, and when they announced a team to the St Helens fans who've come over the Pennines, there was a lot of, well, confused looks on their faces, because it is a very, very weakened St Helens side. You have to look, maybe, Eddie, is the fact that Ian Millwood, he has done this before. He is a coach that maintains if a player is not 100% fit, he will not risk him. I can assure you the players, the coaches and the managers and the clubs themselves, it is far too many games. If you play 2 games within 4 days, this is what can happen. Sadly, it's a sad indictment to the game.
Well, I'm sure the Bradford, who according to their coach Brian Noble have turned up and want a real match to see this lunchtime, I'm sure that they will be going helter-skelter to try and get the victory that, well, looks inevitable, but it's maybe time for young teenagers to stand up and play like men.
Well, we said that last year, didn't we? Remember when Wigan went through a very bad period, they had no option but to throw those youngsters in, and within a fortnight, Eddie, we were praising them. We were saying this is the new breed. It could be the same today. I don't think so. But you never know in rugby league, you never know in sport.
Well, Ian Millwood has been talking to Bill Arthur immediately prior to the kick-off. Bill, what is Ian Millwood's view on all of this?
Well, he's been very frank about the situation he's faced over this weekend. Saints having a quick turnaround and a bruising game on Friday. They were off on Saturday officially, but so many players needed treatment that they had to be open for business and treat those players, and one or two of them just haven't come through, notably Sean Long. Now, he had an ankle injury a while ago.
And here go the young Saints, and this is a terrific run from Ian Hardman.
Super pass there, Hardman linking in from the full back. Well, they've certainly started with a lot of confidence.
Ball back from Chris Joynt, and it was straight into the breadbasket of young James Roby. A little dab to the in-goal area, picked up by Michael Withers. Good chase, terrific chase by Tim Yonkers, his first appearance of the year.
He'll be happy to get that tackle in as well, but good build-up by the St. Helens side. The one thing that Bradford cannot afford to do is, just because they look at the team sheet of the opposition, that this is going to be a walk in the park. No game in Super League at this standard. Oh, and especially if they drop the ball like that.
That's Vangenaar, and Wilkin has pounced on it for the Saints.
They're not going to lie down, this St. Helens side.
That's Liam Bostock, the young hooker. And Ian Millwood will be very happy to have a look at Liam Bostock, because they've got to decide whether to keep him with people like Mickey Hyam and Kieran Cunningham in the side. They've had offers for Bostock, who's on the ball now. And the ball is bulleted wide. This is Gleeson. There's one tackle missed. And Gleeson is in! What a start for St. Helens! What a start for this team! 11 changes from Friday, but first blood to St. Helens in the shape of Martin Gleeson. Unbelievable.
I said that the Bulls could not just sit back and expect to get the 2 points. Gleeson returns in the best possible manner. They caught Bradford very short in their defence. See how they hesitated, they hung back, did not get into the face of it. Poor attempt by Shantaine Harpy against his opposite, and Gleeson. Are they happy or what? It all came about by the run from the fullback Ian Hardman, and it put them in a wonderful position. Quick hands, look at that. You can't hesitate if you come out of the line, which Harpy did. He got bamboozled by Gleeson. What a start, and I tell you what, I've never ever heard the Otsel crowd as quiet. Not the St. Helens fans, they've got a lot to celebrate, and rightly so. That was a well-worked move. They caught the Bradford defence tight and came up with the first 4 of the game.
Ian Hardman, the goal kicker for St. Helens. It just drifted away in front of the post. But Saints have the lead, courtesy of Gleeson's try. 4-0. Bill, back to you for news of what Ian Millwood was saying, and I wonder what he's saying now.
Well, he's looking very calm and contented on the sidelines here, choosing to sit down in the dugout instead of up in the stand. But the word was that these are genuine injuries. Sean Longer was saying an ankle injury that he picked up earlier in the season and has been nursing through. And Paul Sculthorpe, a back injury similarly, and Kieran Cunningham, an unspecified injury. The coach saying not willing to divulge exactly what it is. But Ian Millwood did make the point that his side has played Super League opposition from the word go. Remember, they have played Super League opposition right the way through their Challenge Cup run, and the first side to do that, if they go all the way to Cardiff, since the Bulls, in fact, in the year 2000. So it has already been a tall order for this Saints side.
That's absolutely right. Bradford leads in Hull, beaten on the road to the semi-final, and nobody can point the finger at St. Helens and say they have an eye on that semi-final, because the game against Huddersfield is on Sunday week. It's not this weekend, as Wigan and Bradford is, so nobody can point the finger really at the St. Helens club or their coach this time. Dave Hatfield is on the sideline, and as always, he will be the spokesman for the British media, who are choosing our man of the match. Dave, I hope you've got your pencil sharpened, and there's 1 or 2 names here that we've never even heard of before.
Yeah, some names to conjure with. The problem is not going to be assessing some of these St. Helens players as recognising them, but who knows, we might recognise them a lot better by the end of the game. For Bradford, Robbie Paul at hooker, that'll be interesting to see how that works out. That was always the original plan for this season. And Logan Swan back after injury, get a better idea perhaps today of the sort of influence that he's going to have on Bradford's season.
This is Robbie Paul now. Thanks, Dave. Talk to him again with 5 minutes of the match remaining to find out who is the man of the match. I wonder if it will be a surprise name. This meanwhile is Deacon. He gets the ball away, and the Bulls, in the shape of Bradford, are level.
Quick reply. Very good hands. Got them into that position. Brought about by quick running from Robbie Paul. He played in the hooker position against Leeds last Thursday. It's no surprise that Brian Noble is convinced that this is his perfect position. And from the position that he went from running from dummy half, they took it out wide. Yet again, see how the hesitation, it happens so often. If you go as one unit, get right into the face, it can confuse. If you just take half a second and wait, you'll pay the price. They certainly have. Lee Radford, first try for the Bradford Bulls.
Back after missing the match with Leeds on Thursday, Lee Radford. He scored a try against the Saints in the cup defeat in February. Bradford, the England international, and Paul Deacon, the Great Britain and England international, to try and add the extras. On its way, it's drifting towards the posts. Bradford have the lead. Well, the one thing about that early score from Martin Gleeson at St Helens, if Bradford were taking a look at this St Helens lineup and thinking, well, we should easily beat them, that was the wake-up call.
Look how they run on the angle. Creates the hesitation. They thought he was going to go back on the inside. A dummy runner coming back on the angle. Radford took the ball on the angle as well. Sweeped in for the try. Bit of a shout that he never actually got that ball down. And having had a look at that,
that's no try, isn't it?
Well, in Australia, they would give that without any doubt, because that's what they do quite often.
I think Phil Clark had the eagle eye. I think you noticed that, Phil, first of all.
I was surprised. I think Ian Hardman did a tremendous job and deserved at least the benefit of another look on the replay of that. He's a fullback, very much a similarity to Paul Wellens. He's an astute player of the game, and knowledgeable players. St Helens concede a penalty here, and I think he worked very, very hard to certainly put some doubt in the mind of whether that was a try or not.
Well, little doubt about this that Bybee certainly got the right hand in, dragged the ball away. This is the try again, and the officials are happy. Well, maybe a little bit of the leather just squeezed on the terra firma, and that's sufficient. As I say, down under, which we seem to copy on a regular basis. Maybe we'll start utilising that one again.
Well, we'll see. 8.5 minutes or thereabouts gone, and Robbie Paul running the angles, finding Jamie Peacock. Peacock looking to try and offload, but Hardman harassing him with Bostock.
That's what they've been missing, Bradford. Been missing Jimmy Lowe's looking and running on the angle in and around the area. Someone's just got flattened out. I think it's Robbie Paul. He got taken off the football and he went down.
It's Deacon,
no,
I think.
Deacon.
Yes, it is.
Boy, did he catch a heavy one. This is the build-up to it. It was further out wide into the centre. Offload. Oh, that's a bad one. That is a bad one. That will go on report, surely.
Well, I don't think it's John Wilkin, I think.
Oh, Wilkin has set him up and has not missed. Bang. Oh, he has to go for that. But the problem is, no one's seen it.
Didn't see it.
He didn't see it. And
seen it now on the big screen.
Oh, yes, and that I can assure you. Oh, he's going for it. He's gone. He's gone.
The match commissioner's had a word.
He's gone.
Oh, he's off. Wilkin is off. I think someone had a word in the ear of the referee, Richard Silverwood, and it was the match commissioner. He saw it. Well, a mountain that was like Everest is now like a double Everest for St Helens. They're down to 12 men, and we only have 10 minutes remaining. 10 minutes of the match gone. But Deacon is not at all well at the moment.
He's in a lot of trouble. And so is the guy walking off. Well, I know, according to the rules and regulations, they say that if the officials out there, the two-touch judges, and the man with the whistle, the referee, if they miss that, then they have to put it on the report. But I'm with you, Eddie. a message has been sent down. Now, if that's the case, we should change the rule, and any incidents like that, if the man in the fourth official says he thinks it's worthy of sending off, then off he goes. I'm quite happy with that. I'm sure the fans would be, and I'm sure that the players would be. We've got Graham Steadman at the side of us. Maybe Graham, what do you feel about it?
I think the first 5 minutes of play here, Millwall will be very concerned with the penalties that they've conceded. They've been deep in Bradford half, started very brightly, but they've conceded 3 points, and on the back of it they've obviously lost field position. But for Johnny Wilkins to come out the line and pick on Deacon in that manner, it's certainly not what the guys want. It's going to be an uphill struggle from here on in, I think, and 12 against the formidable outfit of Bradford is going to be a tough call.
But getting back to the point about that, if it's the fourth official that's telling the referee, would you accept that?
No, I think the referee should be in position to see it as he sees fit, and for the fourth commission to step in and then obviously give him it. It should have gone on report. It's going to be one tough afternoon for the Saints camp now, and it'll be all hands on deck.
Well, he's got the earpiece there taped well and truly to his right ear, Richard Silverwood. If it's there, surely they have to use it.
Well, as far as I know, they cannot be told how to referee. They can advise them.
I'm just hearing, Steve-O, the match commissioner actually told the referee to put it on report. So maybe the touch judge saw it.
OK. Well, if that's the case, maybe they're fortunate to get round that particular rule.
Thing is, there are so many bits and pieces of the rule book, Graham Steadman, and it's great to see you with us, by the way. Thanks for joining us here at Odsal today. There's so many sections of the rule book that were written prior to all this new technology. There maybe is a case for going through it with a fine-tooth comb.
Yeah, that's right. I think Richard Silverwood, the referee's got a tough goal tonight as it is, but
that picture here of Deacon going off with the neck in a brace, and we just fingers crossed that he's all right. That justifies any action that was taken by any official in this ground today.
Yeah, I certainly hope that the touch judge has stepped in and assisted with his referee in the sending off of John Wilkin. It's not something we want to witness on the rugby field. He's a top quality footballer. He's had a poor start to the season with injuries, and for the scene being stretched off, obviously Brian Noble's now going to have to G-rig his back on the back of it.
Well, Michael Withers is taking the penalty that resulted from that incident. He adds the 2 points to the Bradford total. We were in danger really then of ignoring the fact that Deacon was flat out, and he has left the field with his neck in a brace, and we only can hope that there isn't a major problem for him there. Well, the balls are 8-4 up anyway.
I did see a little bit of a movement in the hands and the feet, so...
Well, I'm sure Bill Arthur will be chasing the news.
And let's hope that it is good news. But it's bad news, I'm afraid, for St. Helens. They're down to 12. As Eddie has mentioned, it was always going to be an uphill battle with 11 changes from Good Friday game against Wigan.
Paul Sculthorpe in the stand, and in front of him, Sean Maguire, the chief executive of the St. Helens Club. And Sean Long is just next to Paul Sculthorpe up there. It's like a who's who off the field. Mickey Hyam, Kieran Cunningham pulled out by the doctor on doctor's advice just before the match started. There are 11 players out for St. Helens today. Wellens, Albert, Fozzard, Gilmore, Sculthorpe, Tallow, Long, Hooper, Edmondson, Hyam and Cunningham. Not a bad team sitting in the stands.
World class. That was silly play by the loose forward, Fasavaolu. Really just went all over him.
Well, St. Helens have made a new signing. What's his name, this loose forward?
Fasavaolu.
Oh, Fasavaolu, we'll take him instead.
Okay, it's close.
Stuart Fielden has been penalised because Richard Silverwood said he was tackled and held, and he never was.
Well, what's wrong with this? He escapes. Liam Bostock went low, didn't get the initial tackle to him. Well, Mr. Silverwood has got one thing right with the assistance of the touch judge that has seen Wilkin being sent off. He's certainly got that wrong.
Mason is drilled to the ground by Peacock.
That's going to be a big battle there, Keith Mason and Jamie Peacock. There's a swinging arm there by Lee Price. Well, Bradford really, with the knowledge that they are playing against a side that's one man down, and they've got to keep this ball alive, and then all of a sudden they go into an arm wrestle, and that's high, straight into Mason. Logan Swan, well, why on earth has this erupted like that? Okay,
Watch your legs, Keith.
the man that's taken his punishment is being sent from the field of play. Now the last thing we want is another episode, which is a brawl that we saw on Friday.
Logan Swan and Lee Radford with the challenge on Keith Mason.
And it's not needed.
St Helens 10 metres away from the Bradford line. And here is Dom Fuanati, and that was another high shot that Fuanati took. Bostock. Inside it goes to Keith Mason, driving it in again.
Full credit to Mason, he's looking for the football.
And that's Fasavalu.
Good tackle by Stuart Fielden. His
Bostock.
body right behind it.
This young St Helens side looking for something here with James Roby. 18 years of age. Bostock again, Bybee, and on to Yonkers. That's the last one. They're right underneath the Bradford sticks. A dab to the in-goal area, and it's bouncing everywhere. It would have been, but Joint touched it down. He just couldn't get hold of it.
Well, it just went back
to the rescue.
Went just behind him. Neat little kick from the halfback there. Oh, if Joint, which we often say, would have had a pair of eyes behind the ears rather in front, and they would have snapped that one.
Tavita Vicona, the man to the rescue for Bradford. Drop out from underneath the sticks by Leon Price.
Well, Brian Noble's got to get the message out, which is quite clear to everybody that's here and everyone at home, I'm sure, that's watching, is that they've got to make sure that they just keep this ball alive against a 12-man side. They will tire. They have to tire. They've got to do extra work.
James Lowe is the man on the sideline for Bradford, who will pass the messages down from Brian Noble. This is Fasavalu again. And Paul Deacon, that's a great sight to see. He's back on his feet. He's on the bench. And Bill will have some news about him in a moment. This, meanwhile, is Hardman falls to St Helens.
Been impressed so far with the youngsters. Only 18 years of age, Ian Hardman.
Joint. Good ball. Mason helps it on. Bybee dropped forward with a kick straight into the arm of Paul Johnson. Bradford to counter-attack. Down to Bill for news of Deacon.
Well, as you can see, Eddie, Paul Deacon is up on his feet, but he certainly isn't certain what day of the week it is. I'm not sure I am, actually, after all the bank holiday stuff we've been through. But Paul Deacon very confused, asking what happened to him out there. Well, when he sees the replay, he'll know exactly what it was, but thankfully everything is moving. It's just the brain that's a little bit shaken up at the moment for Deacon.
Leon Price, wonder if he'll come back then. Deacon off the field, but that was Robbie Paul. That was Logan Swan's pass wide to Peacock.
Had a big red cross on it as well from the loose forward Logan Swan.
And Leon Price hoists the bomb. And that bounces off an arm, and it's going to be head and feet to the balls, this.
Yeah, I think Adrian Gardner got first touch of it.
Joint and Fielden.
Well, Brian Noble, he's been around long enough as Brian. He knows what a tough game of rugby league it is. And little doubt that Gardner got hand to it first. Under a lot of pressure, though, by the Volcano, Vinicola. There is Brian. You realise that they've just got to be patient. Do not be drawn in to the hard stuff. Look at the three-quarter line that Bradford have got. Bristling.
That's Johnson. Robbie Paul again. Wide it goes to Vicona. Strength from Vicona. Try from Vicona. That is Tavita Vicona's 100th try for the Bradford Bulls. The Tongan international got one at Leeds on Thursday, and he got a hat-trick in the last home win against St Helens in 2002. First of a few today, maybe.
Concentrate, miss a man out, take the short blind side. They know that this guy's got all the power. Boom. Tried the best to stop him. Tim Yonkers went low, but he is such a hard man. The two V's on either wing. Vicona and Vinicolo, they are so impressive. And as Eddie has mentioned, what a milestone. 100 try for this fella. Very difficult to stop, isn't he?
Here's Michael Withers with the conversion attempt, just a few inches in from the touchline this near side, and just in front of the post. But it's 12-4 to Bradford. They do all right against St Helens on home soil, do Bradford Bulls, 18 wins to 13. But at St Helens, Bradford have only won 6 times in league football in over 30 years. Unbelievable.
There you see, that's a dummy runner. See how they hesitate. It's sufficient. Thank you very much indeed. Go low. It's so difficult. They know that if they go high, he'll just blast them aside. And even when they go low, he's got so much strength in those legs and thighs.
Leon Price plays the ball to Paul Johnson. Infield it goes to Logan Swan. They haven't really seen anything of Logan Swan here at Oxford yet this year. He's missed the last 6. And Big Joe Banganard gets Bradford over halfway and keeps the legs going. Here's Robbie Paul again. Good scoot from dummy half from Robbie Paul.
That's what they've been missing.
Did Passavalou come up with a trip then? Robbie Paul looked at the referee. And this is Vicona. Paul, long ball to Price. Another hoist wide for Aidy Gardner and Leslie Vinacolo to contest. Oh, and I think that will be another head and feed to the ball.
Drop out. No. The touch judge has qualified that Vinacolo got to it first. I think he's got it right. Certainly went for the football. Well, it's going to be a tough afternoon for Adrian Gardner.
Well, even tougher because he's in the in-goal area and he can't get to his feet. But here Bradford have conceded a penalty. Bivey wanted to get on with it as Gardner is obviously in some distress.
Do you know, Eddie, a lot of the players, Bradford, you know the old motorbike track, you can see how it goes up into the corners. A lot of players are concerned when they come down. They're not on a level piece of turf. And that can twist your ankle, and I reckon that's what's happened, why it's been brought about by that. Because as you can see, the turf is going up into the corner on all 4 corners.
Well, Lady Gardner is still struggling, so St Helens continuing here with 11 fit players at the moment. Although they are preparing maybe to make a substitution as we watch this. There's Bostock.
Well, it's important that Millwood does utilise his substitutions as well as he can with only 12 players out there. Looks like Gardner's going to run it off.
Not standing square, Bradford. Analysed by Richard Silverwood.
And surely they kick this right into the corner, probably the right-hand corner. Now they're taking the quick tap. Come back, I'm the boss. Richard Silverwood says you can't do that now. You've got to wait until the whistle goes.
It's been about 18 months since that was brought in. Now they can take the penalty, which they do. And that's Keith Mason. 5-3 on the penalty count to St Helens. Good defence from Bradford. James Graham making a dart. Bostock. Back it comes to Roby. And it goes on to Anderson. And bounces kindly for Vicona. And the big Tongans away again. Looking for support. It's there eventually from Peacock.
Peacock was so surprised. He said, hang on, you're supposed to go the length of the field, you, the winger. Oh, great tackle.
Great hit. And St Helens get it back. And it was Gardner, I think, who put that tackle in.
It certainly was. He came off the whitewash.
Let's get down to Phil Clark on the side.
Eddie, I think it's a strange game. We've got an unfamiliar St Helens side. We've seen obviously a sending off and 8 penalties, number of handling errors. The game in many ways hasn't really got flowing, and I'm not sure whether Bradford have dropped down maybe in their intensity after preparing for such a big game. Another handling error there now, a knock on from Bostock at acting halfback. I think it's important for Bradford that they don't think about playing against a 12-man side, but just think that they play the way they wanted to play. St Helens, well, when they get the ball, I just love to see the ball in Martin Gleeson's hands because he's a very dangerous operator, as he's already shown against Shantaine Harpy out wide on the right.
Phil, we know it's going to be an uphill battle, especially with the fact that Saints are down at 12, but they still have quality out there, don't they?
there is a lot of quality, and they've shown that they can cause trouble, but I just fear the longer the game goes on, it'll be hard for the players to hang on to the power and size that Bradford have, and that's why I think Bradford need to continue on punching in holes in the middle of the field before they try and move the ball wide.
Graham Steadman is up here alongside us. It's very difficult for Bradford. Graham, when you look at the team sheet and then you have 12 men up against you after 10 minutes, very difficult to halt this full side. Just a minute, by Nicola. Oh, not a try. Not a try. But it looks like they have upped the intensity, Graham.
Yeah, no doubt. Brian Noble, the Bulls coach, will send out the word, let's lift the level of intensity, because the first 15 minutes it's been very hit and miss. There's been lots of penalties, lots of errors, but I think we've just witnessed what Bradford are all about. With the pace and power, obviously making inroads in the middle of the park and then playing with a bit more lateral movement, they're going to cause lots of problems on the fringe of the Saints defence because of the size of their team.
And Graham knows what he's talking about, because Castle at the last side to beat the Bulls here at Odsal last year in Super League.
There's a mistake by the youngster, Liam Bostock, the hooker, and once they made the break, it was a good build-up by Reardon. Reardon certainly made inroads, as Phil Clark already mentioned. Got to do the hard work down the middle, and then you pull in the defence, and you've got these two guys, get out of the way. Hardman tried his best. He went far too high. But as we've already seen, when Vicona scored his try, even if you go low, he'll learn from that, will the youngster Ian Hardman. He'll learn the hard way, of course.
Well, he will if this fellow came running at you at that pace. He just tramples you into the ground, doesn't he? Michael Withers. He's not had many easy conversion attempts, has he? This one from way out on the far side. Makes it look easy, though. 18 points to 4.
I spoke about the fact from Reardon. Look how you see the Saints defence. They're struggling to get back into any sort of a line. And look how he runs across. You just cannot allow a forward to get the momentum. As soon as they play the quick play the ball, they are all at sea. Bang. Dummy rung it yet again. Shontaine Harpy providing the pass, and the power of this man.
25.5 minutes gone, and a 14-point lead established by the Bradford Bulls. Robbie Paul, who it was up round the neck of Leon Price.
Look forward as well.
Here's Robbie Paul again. That goes out to Paul Johnson, and Johnson has men on his inside.
That'll be back to 6 offside. Or was it the man that knocked it? He said he knocked it back.
He did. It came off Hardman, and Hardman himself picked it up, and Hardman knocked it back towards his own post. Nothing wrong with that.
Actually, I think it might have been Graham that got to it.
It was Graham. It was James Graham.
That's what confused me, because the red hair came up with the football, and I thought it was inside. I was with you, Eddie. I thought it was Hardman that knocked it forward.
This is Gleeson.
Oh, that's got to be a penalty. I thought you couldn't lift them off the ground with your hand in between the legs. Well, I've got it eventually. Look at this. That has got to be a penalty.
It is.
Yeah, but not for that incident.
Yes, that's
Only
what he's
because
given, that's what he's given it for. He said, your hand between the legs. He did. Heard the referee, he did. He was late, but he did.
Well, I tell you what, this guy in the stand, the fourth official, I hope he's getting paid a bonus, because he's doing more work out there than the man with the whistle.
Bostock for St Helens. Finds Chris Joynt. It goes wide, and Gardner, had he taken that in, could have posted a try.
He's in touch anyway. Could just hit the whitewash. Well, he twisted his leg a few moments ago. Chris Joynt missed out. Gleeson, and lovely pass, wasn't it? Now then, well, the touch judge had it up straight away, didn't he? I'm not so sure that he did touch the whitewash.
Here goes Withers.
This is the point now where
Reardon's on.
Robbie Paul really has to come to it. He's really impressed me since his come from the bench, made the break that led to Vainicolo's try. He's in the position yet again. Remember against Leeds, Eddie, there was times where Bradford didn't look eager for the football. Ooh, that was a big hit, wasn't it?
It was. Funati got the tackle in, but the penalty not given for that. It's given for offside.
Ooh, nothing wrong with it. Right across the ball-carrying arm on the chest. Johnson just shakes his head.
The penalty given for offside.
And surely they'll kick this into the corner. And they are.
Yes, they did it once, but they went too early. The referee hadn't blown the whistle, made the mark. They're 20 metres away, Bradford, with Leon Price now with Paul Anderson. It'll be a huge learn for all of these 8 teenagers that St Helens have in the side today. Parker.
Well, it will, but sadly...
That's a penalty against Chris Joint, but it's been allowed to play on by the referee, Robbie Paul.
The sad thing about it, Ed, is the thing they'll learn more than anything is just being able to position themselves behind the post.
Peacock and Johnson. Good hit again by Funati, but this is Vicona. Such strength. Reardon looping past to Robbie Paul, helped on one-handed, and a dreadful bounce, and Bostock accepts the Easter egg.
Well, that'll drop into the notebook of Mr. Noble. Brian will not be impressed with that.
Well, he heard James Graham coming.
Should have gone for the football. Possession, vital. Go through your basics. Keep the possession, kick it in the in-goal area. Successive sets of 6.
That's Hardman over there.
There's no room for sympathy in this game. If you're going to be fully and totally committed as a professional, you've got to go through it.
Oh,
that's
Bybie's
a bad
lost
mistake.
it. Lost it as he hit the ground, Ricky Bybie. Leon Price, Robbie Paul, Jamie Peacock. St Helens scrambling back well in defence.
They're working overtime, they have to.
Just
One man
wonder
down.
well, you just wonder how long the fitness will hold up. Mason couldn't get a hand really on Anderson then, just brushed him aside. Robbie Paul down the left-hand channel. This is Michael Withers.
Seen a good run from the forward, but looks like they're going to bring Leon Price into it.
There is Price. Almost through Joint, gets a good ball away to Logan Swan. He in turn hands it on back to Price. This is Robbie Paul. Now Paul Johnson. Offloaded to Reardon. Here's Vicona again. He's done him outside. Second try for Tavita Vicona. And Mari Pasafalu had no chance whatsoever of stopping Vicona. Fourth try for the Bulls.
Just basics. See how that Price sucks in the defence there. Bit of confusion. Swan did well. And he sees a very tired outfit already, St Helens. They are so much out on their feet. This is not going to be pretty to watch, I'm afraid. All came about by yet another mistake. Bybie losing control within the tackle. Picked up very quickly. And they're just playing with them. And I'm afraid St Helens defence, they are out on their feet. Look, they're struggling to get into any line. Johnson allowed to offload. Thank you very much indeed. In and out. That's a great try. That little bit at the end shows the true quality of this fella. Not just as he a blockbuster, but that was beautiful feet. Just in and out and beat the man outside. Something that you should never do. As a winger in defence, you should never be caught that way.
This goal could take Withers beyond the milestone for Bradford, but he's missed it. Withers needed 5 points before today for 400 for Bradford. The moment he's on 4, so that little milestone beckons for him as well. Phil Clark, sympathy for Saints, I think.
A little bit. I bet when you're a young player just starting out at St Helens on your rugby league career and you dream about making your debut, you never really picture yourself playing at Odsal against a full Saints Bradford side with them, well, with just 12 men on your side and 13 on theirs. We're probably looking like 30 the way that they're running with the ball at the moment. And it is going to be difficult, but they've just got to try and hold on to the ball when they get it and play with the possession for as much as they can, because the longer they give Bradford the possession, then the more difficult it makes their job. I just think that we often talk about the size and power of the Bradford side, but I also think we've seen demonstrations so far of the skill as well. Offload from Peacock, Price through the gap.
Indeed so, and it's a cavalry charge, and he gets it to Logan Swan, and Gleeson got the tackle in, and that's only 2 tackles made and 56 metres ground gained. Here is Jamie Langley. Well, they began the day determined not to lose twice in 5 days, Bradford, after suffering that defeat at Headingley on Thursday. They couldn't have dreamed that this match would be against a team unrecognisable from the Saints side that played Wigan.
Bad mistake by Michael Withers there, trying to offload in heavy traffic.
Here's
Well picked up by St Helens. Give them a little bit of a breather. Got a great step, but you've got to keep hold of the ball, keep control of it. Saints will be just quite happy now to run it out, 1 man out, nothing fancy. Get themselves in a good position so they can kick and chase, maybe force the error.
This is Phil Anderson, who Ian Millwood says is a real challenger in the future to Sean Long at scrum half. Definitely one for the future, he believes, the 19-year-old. That's Roby.
Oh, that's welcome to the big time, isn't it? That was a big hit by Rob Parker.
Roby just drifts the kick through, and it's collected by Vinacolo.
Oh, good hit by Gleeson, but
he stopped him temporarily.
Yeah, for a split second. Once again, you see there, Eddie, we mentioned it against Leeds last Thursday, is that the ability of Vinacolo now to read the game, put himself into a good position.
Vicona, the other V on the other side, fancies a hat-trick. Robbie Paul, Michael Withers, back it goes to Langley, there's a big hole for Langley. Vinacolo's on his outside, Langley's backed himself, and Langley scores the try. Fine try for young Jamie Langley. He's only 20 as well. Jamie Langley, loose forward against Leeds and St Helens in the Cup, on here this afternoon as a substitute for Bradford, and has already stamped his mark on the match with the try, the 5th Bradford try.
Again, you see the defence just hanging back. Martin Gleeson was the culprit, but Langley knew that he had the speed. Nothing that the fullback Ian Hardman could do about that. You've got to get into their faces. They failed to do that. Seemed to be a much improved player, this fella Langley. There were times last season especially where he looked as though he was going to be the goods. Seemed to just shy away from it, but not this year. Obviously being worked upon by his coach Brian Noble. Well, he'll be pleased with that, both player and coach alike.
Michael Withers won't be, because they're not giving him much chance to add to his tally with these tries being scored out wide. This for 500 points for Withers, hits the posts. 400 points for Withers, beg your pardon. 26-4 though for Bradford.
Pretty expensive goal, that one, Eddie.
Yes, 101 points, it would have been worth that. Graham Steadman is up here alongside us. You have to have sympathy for the Saints, Graham, but Bradford, I think, will show no mercy.
No, I think the writing's been on the wall from the 10-minute mark. Started very brightly on the back of lots of energy and enthusiasm, as you would expect from a youthful Saints side. What you've got now is the pace and power of Bradford just totally dominating midfield, and on the back of that, the game momentum, and then you've got the fringe attack of what we've just witnessed with Langley making a break and going in from 40 out. I think that's going to be the story of the remaining parts of this game.
Indeed, and after 10 minutes, Saints were down to 12 men. It was never going to get any easier after that, was it?
No, certainly not. They've now got into their game plan very much so, have Bradford, and they're controlling the ball with a lot more respect. And what we're seeing now is on the fringes is once again Johnson making a break with inside
He's
support.
ruled a forward pass though.
All this is for nothing.
Again. All this is for nothing. He has ruled a forward pass. And the referee is 80 metres further backfield and has indicated there's a scrum with head and feet to St Helens coming up. It was a forward pass.
Well, I don't want to be a cynic, Eddie, but do you think that may have come from the... nothing wrong with this at all. Nothing wrong at all. Referee not in a good position. He's way back. Certainly nothing wrong with that. And that should have been allowed to play on. And maybe the guy in the stand, the fourth official, is after the bonus. Graham, when you see a team like this, they're depleted, what do you say to a side? And I hate to say it, you've been in that position quite a few times this year, haven't you? What do you actually say to your players?
I'd have to disagree. We've not been in that position too many times this season.
You've not been down to 12 men and
exactly, and the scores against have not been as heavy as what they are at the moment. But it is difficult for the young guys. It's very discouraging, very disheartening, and it's going to be interesting to see what Ian Millward, the Saints coach, says to his young charges at half-time.
Because there's no point in just doing your block. You've got to be calm, calculated, and just give them encouragement.
Exactly. They can't be discouraged. To be fair, when they're in good field position, they do look very well offensively structured. And with Bostock darting around in the dummy half, he looks a bit of a threat. And the young kid Roby looks also a threat, but I think they'll be looking to the likes of Joint and Gleeson, the experience of those two guys, to obviously give them some direction, because at the moment they look a little bit lost.
And to be fair to Graham Steadman, Castleford have not been given a hiding by anybody this year.
Oh, go on, make me feel worse.
No, I just want to get the record straight. There's a chance here.
Joint was he was so close as well. Nearly caught the Bradford defence napping.
This is Roby, and he tried to get the ball away, but gobbled up by Robbie Paul.
And again, you saw Robbie Paul get into a position just like a seasoned hooker, just on that little behind the first line of defence.
Well, he's an international hooker for New Zealand, isn't he?
I know.
From time to time.
But
Peacock's away. Peacock is away. He has got Reardon with him, but he's gone the wrong way for Reardon, backing himself. That's good defence and good tracking down there by Ian Hardman. Vicona infield to Price, and through the hands and on the bounce, and Shontaine Harpy has a stroll in.
no one at home. And I'm afraid this is becoming quite a joke.
The referee hasn't given it yet. He can't look for forward passes.
Well, there was a doubt about one, I must say.
Is there a knock-on in the movement?
Okay.
No.
Was there a knock-on in the move that led up to the try?
I think he thinks that Shontaine Harpy just got fingertips.
It was the one that missed the man out before it bounced to Harpy, I think.
Yeah, I don't think he gets a fingertip to it.
Was it Logan Swan? I'm not sure.
Well, we'll soon see on the replay. That's fine. Placed it down at full control.
Vicona's pass wide. It's this one, I think. No, it's the next one.
It's from Price.
No.
Missed it.
Never touched by Logan Swan.
And I suppose in many ways, that looked to me as though it's a set move. I'll go underneath it. I'll go underneath it. They didn't really try to get it, did it? And it absolutely confused St. Helens. So much so, I reckon that's a set move. Adi Gardner could see that he had 4 against him. He has to move in and decide which. This is TRY, no doubt about it.
Try it is. Shontaine Harpy. He returned to the side against Leeds and scored a try on Thursday. He missed 4 after injury. And it looks like it is a planned move, this.
I'm sure it is.
Miss, bounce, thank you. No one at home.
He's a crafty coach, isn't he, Brian Noble? Well, Graham Steadman, you know Brian Noble inside out. I think this has been planned.
Yeah, I think what you've got here is the inside play. You always encourage your players to actually give your hands as a target for the ball to be received. And if that decoy runner does stick his hands up in the air, that's obviously sold the play to Gardner. He's then anticipated that pass. It's been a face pass, which is picked up and scored in for a try, and it's a well-deserved try.
And it's a try that takes us to half-time. And poor old Michael Withers is still waiting for his 400th point. That was slightly easier, but there were 1, 2, 3, 4 tries that went unconverted there. He's kicked 2 from 6 attempts, has Michael Withers. On another day, they might be missing Paul Deakin more than they maybe would care to admit. But they're running tries in for fun, and Bradford are ahead at half-time by 30 points to 4. Yes, Scooper League, I know, it's one of those days, I'm sorry. Let's take a look at the way this match is shaped up in the first half, shall we? The scoreboard, which is more important. Bradford 30, St Helens 4 in the Super League. And Vicona with 2 tries, Bradford, Vinacolo, Langley, Harp. It's been a procession, really, to the St Helens line. And Brian Noble came here today and hoping that his team would be given a really good hit out. Well, I suppose there have been 1 or 2 tackles in the first half that were questionable, particularly in the opening 10 minutes. But I don't think the game that Brian would necessarily have wanted. And down the corridor in the St Helens dressing room, Ian Millwood, all 11 players that he has left out today, he is absolutely relaxed. They are injured, and he will not put his players at risk. And you have to take your hat off to any coach who says that. But once they'd lost the services of John Wilkins, sent off after just 10 minutes, it was not a question of who was going to win this, but just how many Bradford would win it by. They're coasting at half-time. Graham Steadman of the Castleford Tigers is with us. It's not the greatest game, let's be fair, but the tries are good. And Bradford, it's a test now of their concentration, isn't it?
Yeah, I think what you've got here is a side that had really got themselves up for a big contest against what they thought was going to be a first-team string of Saints players, but that's not to be. The level of intensity in that first 15 minutes for Bradford certainly wasn't in evidence. Therefore, Saints have got off to a cracking start, played some quality football, but what you've witnessed in the remaining 25 minutes is the power and pace of Bradford in the fringe attack, which we've already mentioned, and I can see them scoring a very heavy score and possibly embarrassing Saints here this afternoon.
Well, fatigue now will play a part. What do you say as a coach? What would Ian Millwood be saying to John Wilkin as I noticed he went and put an arm around him and took him off? It was a shocking tackle on Paul Deacon. Deacon was injured badly, we thought. Yeah. What do you say in those situations?
In John's defence, I've coached John as an academy junior, and his temperament is great. He's got a great attitude for the game, and technically he got it all wrong, and it wasn't a malicious one. But the fact that he's got 12 men at his disposal now for this second half with the obvious rotation off his bench, it's going to be a massive ask. 40 minutes against the Bulls, who have now got the bit between their teeth, and they're looking to embarrass Saints, make no mistake about it.
Well, they've got plenty of substitutions left up their sleeve. Ian Millwood's only made 2 changes in the first half. That would be crucial, Steve-O, but for 70 minutes to play Bradford with 12 men, well, you may as well wave the white flag.
Oh, yeah, it's impossible, and full credit to the St Helens side. At least they got off to a flying start, didn't they? You know, I was impressed with the fullback Hardman. It was from his break that they got into a good position, and it was Gleeson. And I'll tell you what, I've never seen and heard an Otsel crowd as quiet. There's a fullback just chiming through, got himself in a good position in attacking in the opposition, and look how they swing it out wide, and hesitation in that defence. Shontaine Harpy went out of the line, Gleeson went there. The St Helens fans were up for this one, but soon as good work in the forwards left them an ability to bring the man short on the inside, Bradford said thank you very much indeed. And we knew it was going to be tough for Saints, but it got worse, didn't it? That was a bad one. As you see there in slow motion, he picked him out, running the angle. He launched. The thing that may save him is the fact that I don't think that the arm moved all that much. I think it was a launch with the arm out wide and the shoulder. That may save him. It was a bad one, and thankfully that Deacon is okay. But you have to feel sorry for the fans, the paying public, because they arrived here. I think I mentioned it just a few minutes into the game, is the fact that when they announced the St Helens side, a lot of the St Helens fans, they were confused. They'd never heard of them. Neither had we. And that is not what we want in rugby league. We have seen it over the Easter period, Thursday and Friday, absolutely wonderful, tough rugby league games. And that is the reason that Ian Millwood says that he has so many injuries. Now, if that is the case, then the Rugby Football League have to take note. They have to say, we will only play 1 game. I know they make a lot of money over the Easter period, the holiday season. Everybody wants to come and see as many games as possible, but you have to look at the players. You've got to make sure that they're not going to be injured. And I really think in this day and age, you cannot play 2 top games within the space of 4 days.
It's a view that Steve-O has held for some time. It doesn't necessarily go down well with a lot of the former professionals, because there are older people than Steve-O who say, well, we played on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Boxing Day in the old days. I think you did that as well.
Yeah, time. Of course we did.
You know,
yeah,
what's the difference?
Well, the difference is that this lot play at full speed. And I'm afraid we didn't, and it was nothing unusual to have a good barrel of Tetleys in your belly on Christmas Day, and also play on the Boxing Day with another barrel of Tetleys in your body. Simple as that.
Let's go down to Phil Clark. Wonder if Phil has got a view on all of this. Well, Phil, too many games?
The thing you've got to remember, the clubs aren't made to play those games. Each club is represented at a council meeting. They all have one vote, and they can decide on how the system and how the league's formatted. And so it's for the club chairman, really. The coach should go and meet with the chairman and chief executive and put his concerns to them, really, if that's what he feels. It is very difficult, and we're not going to have the best second half. I mean, many top players have played over 300 games in their career. Sometimes they don't always work out the way you'd like them to be, and I suppose this one this afternoon will be that way. But Ian Millward and, in fact, players themselves can learn a lot about themselves in situations like this. I thought that Bradford really were easily the dominant side, and Paul Johnson's played well for them all season, not just today. He runs good lines, times the ball well. On this occasion, the pass back inside doesn't go to a teammate. It's picked up by James Graham. He's looked dangerous for them, and he's been a great buy for the Bradford side.
Thanks very much, Phil. We will continue, by the way, this debate about fixtures over the Easter period on Boot and All on Wednesday. I hope you'll join us for that at the end of this terrifically busy Easter programme. Now then, somebody is going to go home with a watch tonight. I think it might be going to a Bradford player, the way that first half has gone. But Dave Hadfield, we heard from him with 5 minutes of the match gone. We'll be talking to him with 5 minutes remaining, and he will come up with the name on behalf of the British media. Plenty to talk about. I know that you'll be talking about it at home and debating as well. But for Bradford, what an opportunity to improve their points difference. And who knows, at the end of the season, that could be pretty valuable. Really covered on both sides of the world. Here on Sky Sports right now, the Bradford Bulls 30, St Helens 4. They led 4-0. Then they had John Wilkins sent off after 10 minutes. Helens for a high tackle on Paul Deacon. And it's been all downhill for the Saints since then. My mind goes back 2 years to the match at Valley Parade when Saints came under strength that day. They were actually in the week of a Challenge Cup semi-final. They lost 54-22 at Valley Parade. This time, there's no Challenge Cup semi-final beckoning this weekend for St Helens. They have a week off before that. Well, a week off. They play the Super League next weekend, but they have a week off, if you know what I mean. So there can be no excuses. And it's all down to medical decisions and medical reasons. Steve-O, I know on behalf of the fans, you are still not happy.
Far from it, Eddie, and you know, it's like buying a ticket to go see the Three Tenors and you finish up with Russ Conway. It's just not right.
I'm sure Russ Conway fans would be delighted if they saw him.
Well, I'm not against his singing, but I'm just saying it's not a higher profile.
I think Russ Conway is a pianist, isn't he? But anyway. This is James Gray.
He used to sing as well.
That's ball. Come on, Logan. Back. Ball. Okay,
the big kick downfield from St Helens. And that's Vicona now. Oh, good tackle. Great chase.
Yeah, lads. Don't go early. Wait. That's one.
This is Reardon now.
Second, Marcus.
Vinacolo driving over halfway, halted by the tackle from Chris Joint. And Robbie Paul, another good scamper from dummy half. Well tackled though by Gleeson.
That's obviously the tactics by Brian Noble. Wants a little bit more effort from the dummy half.
Oh, Langley!
He'll just go in on his own.
He will. Too much. Oh, I don't think so. Has he dropped that?
I think he has.
It was a good tackle if it was by Ian Hardman.
Okay,
well, the young fullback Hardman knows he's in for a pretty rough day. Well, the last couple of weeks I've seen those given, but I think in this circumstance, you keep saying benefit of the doubt, Eddie, and if that's the case, then it's a try. But to my mind, he's lost it. No try.
Well, if the game against Leeds on Thursday produced a try
with a fingertip, then it's a try.
This is a try.
Well, I think it's no try. But I said that on that particular game as well. will they feel sorry? I mean, to be fair, the officials off the field have been pretty persuasive.
Let's have a look.
No try.
20-metre restart. Well, maybe that was just a little bit more in doubt than the one we saw on Thursday at Headingley, but it's been a little bit of a contentious issue with one or two people this year. This is Fuanati.
Second,
I know that Ian Millwood was looking forward to seeing Fasavalu and Fuanati again operating in the same side together. But really, on a day like this, Steve-O, you can't judge, can you? You cannot judge the merits or demerits of players now.
It's impossible. The one thing you can do is pick out two players who I mentioned early in the first half, Jamie Peacock and Keith Mason. They're going to have their own little battle. That'll be interesting to see. And let's hope Richard Silverwood, the man with the whistle, keeps an eye on it.
Graham plays the ball. Bostock gives it to Mason.
He's got through a lot of work
inside the 10-metre line.
He's looking for the ball all the time, is Keith Mason.
That's Anderton, and it goes on to Roby.
Good tackle by Parker there. Gets through a lot of work. There's the substitute, Rob Parker.
Bybee. And still going towards the line. Joint the dummy half. Comes this way and finds Anderton. Then Gleeson. Gleeson to Gardner.
Did well there, Gardner.
And Withers did well also. Oh, he's got Vinocola on his back now. That's the last. Anderton. Hardman. Well, not the best.
It'll be the turnover.
Wait, Paul.
Brian Noble alongside him, Phil Vivers, one-time former St Helens great, of course, and I don't think Brian Noble is too impressed with what is being served up at Odsal today.
Well, I think at half-time we would have said, let's go through our sets, let's make sure that we are at least professional, make sure that Saints do not score a try. But more importantly now is that if they've got any set patterns, use them.
Well, that was a wild pass by Rob Parker, and Peacock was there. A good job he was as well, but they lost about 15 metres there. Here's Johnson now, and Johnson is through the gap. He's got Vicona outside him, and Johnson flicks the ball in field to Robbie Paul, who helps it on to Stuart Reardon, and St Helens come scrambling back. Oh, he's pinched it there, Fasavalu, but that's not allowed. It was 2-on-1. Wrong game, Murray.
Yeah, he lost the plot there, didn't he? Or did Stuart Reardon just give him an Easter gift?
Wait till he taps it, Saints.
With no sympathy shown by these Bulls, I'm afraid.
Anderson.
It's just be turning into 40 minutes of a training run for Bradford. They know they've got the vital 2 points.
Parker.
I wonder if those 2 points may come back to haunt Ian Millwood late in the season.
Never know. Leon Price.
That's there. Chris, come on, Chris. Come on, Chris.
Chris joints all over him. Was told twice to get off the grounded player. Now, is this the moment for Michael Withers for his 400 points?
No, they'll tap it.
No, they're tapping it and running looking for 6. Robbie Paul gets it away. That's Peacock.
They'd go berserk if they'd have gone for the post there.
Went backwards. Flicked inside. Reardon, Robbie Paul, Jamie Peacock. Good defence, St Helens.
Oh, I bet Jamie thought, I wish I'd have got rid of that. That was one big hit.
Leon Price. And Withers has lost it.
Oh,
backwards, he says.
No way.
Well, that was a knock-on, I think.
Definitely a knock-on. But the official said play on straight away.
But at least he's handed it on to the video referee to check. But he was facing his own sticks, you see, but it went forward.
Yeah, it's a knock-on.
Yeah.
With an awful pass to the full-back Withers. So this will be no try. Mr. Langley will be wondering what he has to do. He could have had a hat-trick, couldn't he? I think he got the ball down eventually. from a different angle. Just goes behind Withers and he turns and stops. Definitely a knock-on, no doubt about it. N-O-T-R-Y.
Okay.
And St. Helens saved any further embarrassment.
Scrum to the defence, i.e. St. Helens. Langley did knock on, and so we still await the first points of this second half. Langley didn't get the try. Withers with the knock on.
Okay, Hull, let's go. Let's go.
Gleeson for St. Helens.
Okay, let go, let go. One. Second,
Gardner now. Bybee.
Okay, Zale. Let go, let go. Oh.
Bradford fans thought that just bobbled a little bit.
Mason got the ball away to Phil Anderton.
Work. Forward.
Halfway line.
Every time Mason gets a football, you know, Jamie Peacock goes looking.
Hardman's dab through is picked up by Vicona. Shimmy of the hips and he's on his way. Vicona, he has some pace, this for the hat-trick. He's pinned his ears back, Vicona. He's flicked the ball back inside. It's play on. Leon Price now.
Well, they're skirting with that touchline. Saints struggling yet again. Quick play, the ball is needed. The link out wide, that's all they need. Good long pass.
Withers. Well, the trouble is they all probably want to score right now. Vicona all wrapped up. The two tackles gone. That's all. This is Robbie Paul. Now it's Michael Withers. Logan Swan. Great ball round the corner, and Langley has knocked on again.
Well, Langley must be thinking to himself, could have been 4.
Yeah, okay.
I could have had 4.
Okay.
Not many forwards.
Thought Vicona might have
about
scored here, Steve-O.
Well, you said that he'd have the legs, but full credit to him. They did well to get back to him.
And that was Fuanati who chased him down, so Fuanati's pretty quick. In case anyone doubted it. Gardner.
Okay, let's move. Back. Paul, back. One.
Tim Yonkers will be glad that he's back out and in the first team. This is his first appearance of the year. Knee reconstruction last winter.
That's third.
The number
Release
17 for St.
back
Helens.
square.
Well, it's a gentle introduction to him, isn't it?
Just a bit. And that will sit up in the in-goal area. Reardon with work to do and does it.
Okay, Marcus.
He really has impressed me, this fella Stuart Reardon, throughout this game. As you say, Ed, it's very difficult to offer plaudits. In fact, maybe this is one time maybe we should just postpone giving the watch.
2.
Not our decision.
Thankfully.
Harpy. Langley, he did well to keep that in and then stayed in the field of play himself. Vinacolo, Robbie Paul and Parker.
Interesting to see the way Brian Noble is using Langley. He's out in the centres nearly all the time. Wonder if he's just working out another system for later in the season.
James Graham, good tackle there on Withers. And the dab down the line, and Hardman with work to do and does it. Down to Phil Clark on the side.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's easy when you just look at the St. Helens players, you're thinking that they're now maybe not up to the standard of missing tackles, but I think at times that masks the fact that a lot of the Bradford players are very evasive. As Fuanati burst through a first gap, just say when it's any of the players picks up the ball, you hear coaches talk about players having great feet. What they mean is really just the ability to skip away so that a guy can't really dominate you. As that tackle is done, rest them to the ground, forward pass here now. It's going to be hard work for St. Helens if they concede possession inside their own half. But just watch when the Bradford players get it. They don't just try and power over the top of the player. They'll skip around him, even if it's just to get a quicker play of the ball.
Phil, the big problem for the Bradford coach Brian Noble is the fact that most of these players in this situation, you tend to just do something on your own rather than work as a unit, work as a team. It's difficult for him, isn't it?
It's difficult for him, it's difficult for the players, because you can only peak so many times a season. Here's a good backline shot. Off to see Bradford. They tried it in the first half, and it comes off in the second.
Vinacolo won't be stopped this time, and he'll bring it round for his second try. Les Leslie Vinacolo. That was super handling skills from the balls then. As Phil was saying, great backline skills from the likes of Robbie Paul, Leslie Vinacolo, Shontaine Harpy. And the ball is enjoying it as well.
As soon as they went round the back and they offloaded Shontaine Harpy and this fella Vinacolo, so strong. They tried to get across, they worked hard, and you can see as soon as the centre offloaded, it was a neat pass. Full credit to Mason. Dropped forward, got across there where none of the three quarters could. But as soon as that man got the football in his hands, we knew it was going to be an extra 4 points.
Now then, I've been banging on about this 400 points from Michael Withers all day. Is this his moment?
Yes.
He's finished. He's got no chance. I bow to your finer judgment. 36-4. Withers beyond the 400-point mark. It's Graham Steadman is just a matter now of how many Bradford will get.
Yeah, what we've just witnessed is better execution on that try. I think leading into that, they had 3 opportunities, and as Steve already touched on, Jamie Langley could have had four tries in the space of 4 minutes. Brian will be a little bit concerned that the execution wasn't too clever. What they're doing is their approach work is excellent, but that final pass in which is going to slice the Saints defensive line is just not hitting the mark. So Brian will send the message out, be a little bit more patient, and they'll rack some points in the last 15 minutes.
Well, they will. It's bound to take its toll, isn't it, on the St Helens youngsters. The step up to Super League is big enough, but when you're playing with very much a makeshift side, you know, these scrambling defensive runs that Saints are having to make, the fuel must be dropping down. And you notice that more and more now, more changes being made by Ian Millwood, who only made 2 in the first half.
Well, he has to, and but full credit to the St Helens side. You don't normally in a position like they are in, is it that they would have kicked the ball deep.
Again. I told you, too many times.
They would have kicked it right deep from the kick-off, but they didn't. They went for a short one. They went to try to get the possession. Full credit to them. They're still trying their hardest.
Okay.
And Robbie Paul deposits the penalty into touch. Bradford are still trying to rack the points up here.
This next set.
Fielden has returned. That must absolutely strike terror into the hearts of some of these youngsters. Oh, didn't Withers take that well on one knee?
Second, leave him!
There's been a few bad passes throughout this game for Bradford, which is another concern I feel for Brian Noble.
Okay, square up.
But
very difficult for thoroughbreds to play against this, though, Steve.
I know, as I mentioned earlier, it'll be just a training run for them.
Logan Swan. That went behind Paul Johnson, but Paul Johnson... Well, he's over the line, is he? No, just held up.
Play a ball.
Now all they've got to do is just get the link. Leon Price will probably come into it.
Back it goes to Paul. Here's Michael Withers. Pops it up to Langley. Langley over the top to Fielden. Fielden with the strength to try and shake them off.
Okay, leave him! Leave him!
Last one. Harpy. Shontaine Harpy. Robbie Paul. There's the stab through. Hardman with a bit of work to do. Oh, and he does it too. He used the post as a foil.
Okay, Marcus Bradford.
That's up to the youngster.
Well, say there's nothing much for Brian Noble to be exceptionally pleased about. What about for Ian Millwood for these 12?
Well, I think he'll be very, very pleased with the fact that they've tried hard, especially the prop forward Keith Mason. He's gone looking for work.
Graham Steadman swap places with Ian Millwood for a moment. Look at this St Helens performance. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I'll be very impressed with young Hardman at fullback. At times he's been like General Scusser's last stand when they've broken their first line of defence. But to his credit, he's stood up, he's been counted, he's brought the ball back with interest, and we've just seen there in his own dead in goal area. He's anticipated the kick well, he's made good yards on the back of it. So there are some plus points for him, and the experience of this for the young guys is going to be invaluable for them long term.
They're on halfway, Bradford, with Michael Withers. Oh, he was nearly through, and it was important that Ian Kenny kept a hold of him then. Robbie Paul.
Then again, we see far too much one-out play from Bradford when they should be running the angles. Completely split them easy.
Price.
You just get the impression Bradford are going to get over the line with brute force on every occasion.
It's a penalty to St Helens because Johnson was tackled and then got up and didn't play the ball. He took it on again.
That's the point that I'm trying to make. Why should they be doing one-out football, running from dummy half, when they've got to look at it as a training pattern?
Actually, he wasn't tackled. Paul Johnson was right, and that's the second one Richard Silverwood, I'm afraid, has got wrong.
Well, maybe the man in the stand was having a cup of tea on that occasion.
Don't go early, wait till he taps it. Wait till he taps it, Bradford. Okay.
Here's Graham.
I know one thing, the Bradford fans, they love their rugby league football, and if St Helens score, I reckon it'll get the biggest cheer of the afternoon.
Release him, Stuart! Get square, you two!
I don't know about that. There were one or two angry voices raised as we made our way back from the studio to the commentary position. Because it's the second time, sadly, that Saints have come to a fixture against Bradford in the city of Bradford and fielded a weakened side. But
yeah,
he is justified today on medical evidence and medical grounds.
Well, it was proven 2 years ago that it was justified yet again. Oh, that's forward.
It was.
But it's very difficult when you've got a double-decker bus coming to you, isn't it? He's a big lad, Leon Price. Very tall, very strong, big shoulders.
He played in the centres, Ian Hardman, against Widnes, by the way. He's missed the last three.
Let's go.
He was named to play in London, remember? But he had a shoulder problem. He had to pull out the last minute, and Sean Long stepped in.
He's one for the future, that's for sure.
There's a few out there.
Then again, Bradford looking very confused when they really should be. Remember, Saints are down to 12 men. They're running still that attacking flat attack. Why don't they just stand back, pull the man, make the half break, and then support?
Vangenaar. An eerie sort of atmosphere at Odsal. Everybody knows the result, just the score now we're concerned about. Mike Roby underneath that, the man that Ian Millwood is calling the new Paul Newlove. The original is at Castleford at the moment, and hopefully we might see him tomorrow.
Well, he took that well, did Mike Roby, kicking to the corner.
Just wonder what thoughts are going through Brian Noble's mind. You know, they're the champions, Bradford.
He won't be happy.
Are they playing like champions?
No, they're not. And as you say, it is very, very difficult. But all he has to do is just say, will you stop running one-out rugby league football? You'd think there were 5 points in front, and they want to close the game now.
I was going to say, you know, Man United, the Arsenals, the great soccer teams might really like to rub the point home against lesser opposition. But 36-4 is, to be fair, like a 5-0 victory in football, isn't it?
I don't think so with the opposition that they're facing. Most of the fans here know that they've come to a training run. Whether you like it or not, that's all it is. So give them a good training run.
Vainicolo. Inside to Reardon. It's very much individual. Very much an individual effort here from Bradford. Maybe there will be some scintillating stuff in the last quarter. And here is Vicona. Good tackle by young James Graham. And his hurt is Tabita Vicona. He just managed to play that. Oh, that's a mile forward.
Well, there's a tackle. He did well, didn't he?
Twisted ankle, I think.
James Graham says, you're not going round me. This is the forward pass.
Rob Parker.
It's just lack of concentration. And it's very rare to say about a player would go into a tackle carrying the football a little bit more relaxed, but he certainly looked it to me. Tabita Vicona went into that, slowed down, and he's come off second best.
And Phil, you know, that's the way that injuries happen, so they tell me.
You can get injured when you play at full speed as well, can't you? Accidents happen. I think it's difficult, really. You've only got so many bullets in your gun, and you've got to be careful what time of year you use them. Remember, there's 27 weeks still to the grand final, and although we want to see Bradford dominant and running through and scoring tries, they probably realise they've just got to win here. You still only get 2 points for it, whether you win by 1 point or whether you score 100. So they just want to get through it. That injury there is disappointing. But
so you would be happy if you were Brian Noble?
I wouldn't be happy. I don't think he's happy the way the game's turned out. He wanted a close-fought game, didn't he, that went right down to the end. But as it's happened, this is it now. You've just got to get through and get ready for the next game.
Fair enough. Peacock came on. You cannot come on until after the scrum. So he's gone on with the other side to wait. Now the scrum is formed, sorted and out. Peacock can come on. Gardner! Good tackle by Withers. Roby off his ankle, says the referee.
Did well to hang on to that. Knew what he was going to do, run diagonal from the dummy half position.
Here's Fasavalu.
I'll just say that the one thing that Brian Noble will not want is for Saints to score.
Good hit. Fourth tackle. And it was James Graham who felt it. That's Ian Kenny. Some of these names totally unfamiliar. He's 19, Ian Kenny. Bostock, the dummy half, another teenager of 19. That's the last tackle, that's the turnover.
And again we saw, remember, they restarted St Helens and wanted the short kick. There they went for the power play.
Johnson, oh, ghosted through them, Johnson. Having a great first season, but there was nobody in support with him then.
No
great
second.
First season at Odsal.
No second phase whatsoever.
And Parker uses the strength to give it to Harpy. Vinacolo over the top of one, dumps the ball back to Shantaine Harpy. Well, that is much better, and that is Harpy's second. When they want to, when they turn it up, when they apply the max to the gas, they're on fire, Bradford.
They gave themselves a little bit of room to move. Wonderful play by Paul Johnson. But there again, no support. He was looking, but the link, something that we've been shouting for. Once Mike Roby came out of the position, get out of the way. Shantaine Harpy, an easy 4. It's going to be a very long 20 minutes. The final quarter for St Helens is going to be extremely difficult. Men against boys at the moment.
Shantaine Harpy and Michael Withers to try and add the extras. 3 from 7 for Withers. This for a 50% success rate. Misses.
Now then, a lot of the crowd thought perhaps that that had gone in. He shakes his head, disbelief.
That's 3 from 8 then.
The one thing that may be going through a few of the players' minds, the two Vs, Vicona and Vinacolo, is golden opportunity now to race away.
They're booing here because St Helens are just plodding to the halfway line, not because Vicona's coming off. This St Helens team just walking slowly to the halfway line. They are worn out apart from anything else, but he's held the clock up.
They can't expect them to sprint, can they? I mean, they've been out on their feet for most of the game anyway. I'm making that point about the two Vs, is that they'll be looking at the try-scoring list. They know that there's a prize at the end of the season. This is a golden opportunity to add to them.
Well, Leslie Vinacolo, he's got 2. He's now on 11 for the season. He got 5 against Wigan. First round, remember.
Well, another 3 in the final quarter, and he'll virtually be well away.
Okay, leave him! Leave him!
Here goes Lee Radford. Gets them over the halfway line.
Okay, back.
Sorry, it was Stuart Reardon. That's Leon Price. Langley. Peacock.
Well, he's my man of the match is Stuart Reardon. Come off the bench, he really has worked hard.
Price. Langley, Robbie Paul backing himself. Withers touches down. I think he'll be given without reference. It is.
Now that's better. They're using their brains now.
Well, St Helens are flat out.
Precisely, and when they're flat out, they know they've not got a second marker. Just a little dink through. This is a practice run. How many times has this fella come from the full-back position? A little bit like Bradlinski at Wigan. Works to perfection. That was good play. Good thinking by Robbie Paul. Well finished off by the full-back. As I say, it's very difficult, Eddie, to pick out a man of the match in this sort of circumstances, but I really feel that that Stuart Reardon has had a wow of a game. Maybe the press will not see it that way.
Robbie Paul, the kicker on this occasion, 46-4. And there's a chance for a few more before the end of this match. Over 15,500 inside Odsal this lunchtime to see this. In the main, they will be frustrated that they didn't see a repeat of the Wigan Saints and Leeds Bradford epic, but they will also be enjoying the tries that they're seeing being scored by this Bradford side. And any win against St Helens, no matter what guise their team in, is very sweet. St Helens couldn't win in the first 6 years of Super League here in Bradford, but have won their last 3 visits to the city of Bradford against the Bulls. 50-22 at Valley Parade, August 2002. 35-0 here, you may remember, last June, and also in the cup tie earlier this season. So you would not expect Bradford to show any mercy, and at 46-4 they haven't. Not standing square. Fatigue now is what it's all about. And they have just less than a quarter of an hour still to go.
They're desperate. It's, as you say, it's just they're so tired. Not even getting a 1 and 2 marker position. And rather sarcastically, the Bradford fans, when the Bulls go marching in. But fair credit to this St Helens side. They have not thrown the towel in.
No, they've kept going to the end, as they did 2 years ago at Valley Parade, to be fair to them. They did, the youngsters, well, even on that occasion. You got that right, Richard Silverwood. There's a real slanging match here between Fasavalu and Vinacolo. And Vinacolo's come off the better because Bradford have a penalty. And he has a big grin on his face. Well, now he's warning St Helens about messing at the play of the ball.
Okay, I can't allow you to slow the game down. Okay, we've got to keep working harder.
That's interesting, isn't it? It's Phil Anderton that's the acting captain.
Vanganar. Legs still going, Vanganar, even with the attentions of 3.
Let's work. Come on, James.
Price looking round. Robbie Paul, Michael Withers back on the inside to Reardon.
Great tackle.
Harpy! Hat-trick for Harpy. 50 for Bradford.
Just so easy. They stretch the defence. Several solo runs. They're confused. They're trying their best. The target is becoming so elusive. Every man that's got the ball. Nice little shake of the drop of the shoulder there. And Harpy showing his quality now. And what would have been the score, Eddie, if the goal kicking would have been good?
If Deacon was on, and Withers gets the difficult one again. Poor old Michael Withers. I can only smile.
Well, he took one step and just said, I can't be bothered. And that virtually sums it up.
Robbie Paul took the one from in front of the sticks and didn't want to embarrass himself by taking one off the touchline. That might be a bit harsh.
That's probably why he's the captain. Well, I know the crowd are the Bradford fans, they're booing St. Helens because they're very slow to come back. The official, Richard Silverwood, is making sure that...
he's doing his best to get the game going.
Of course. And look, they deserve a good round of applause, this St. Helens side. It was always going to be difficult.
10 or 15 seconds to get their breath.
Yeah. There's a knock-on.
Van Genaar just losing a little bit of concentration. It's a drop out from underneath the sticks coming up.
Well, that will be something that Brian Noble will jot down in the book. Okay, 50 points to 4. You might say, well, doesn't really care, does it? Doesn't matter.
Graham Steadman is still here. We haven't heard from him for a while. 50 points to 4, Graham. It's a fair reflection on the gulf between the two sides.
Yeah, I did think that the last 15 minutes of this game would take its toll on a young and very vibrant Saints team, but what we're witnessing now is the pace and power of the Bulls. Obviously began just coming in and out. I think what Brian Noble's two main concerns will be at the moment is the well-being of Deacon and Vicone on the bench. It's the last thing he'll need in this game is two senior players to be off injured.
Absolutely.
And Robbie Paul, I think, has just gone down.
Yes, he's
clash of heads.
And here come the Saints, and it goes out wide, and Funate, a bit of consolation, no. That's the last tackle, and they scrambled back Bradford like there was 1 point in it. And that wasn't the best kick. It's given it to Shontaine Harpy, who looks full of running. Michael Withers does. Leslie Vinacolo is. But another scrambling piece of defence by Cook. Here's Withers.
That should have been a penalty, but fair credit to the official now. He knows they are just absolutely drained.
Anderson. Gardner with the tackle. Withers. Vinacolo. Withers. Second try for Withers. Well, if it was a boxing match, Steve-O, we'd all be screaming for the referee to call it off and throw the towel in.
Throwing the gum shield as well. You're right.
Well, certainly yet so far for St. Helens just a moment ago.
Funate, he's had a lot to do. He's worked very, very well. Graham Steadman says, and I certainly agree with him, the fact that Ian Hardman has made a name for himself. But the sheer quality and the skill, as soon as they play the ball quickly, good stuff. Selfish pass back on the inside by the Volcano, Leslie Vinacolo. But I think that Michael Withers will be saying to his friends, this is probably one of the easiest games I've played in. Now then, he only took one step back to pop this over. Will he concentrate perhaps a little bit more on this? Who knows?
11 tries for Bradford today. And Withers to try and add the extras here. 54-4. He's hit the post again. I think he's hit the post. That's the second time he's hit the post that I can remember. And he has missed 7. Well, Saints will be glad that he has missed 7. It's bad enough to see a 54-4 scoreline against you. Add another 14 points on. It would have been 68-4. Well, who's won the man of the match? who takes home the Tissot watch. Dave Hadfield is down on the touchline. Dave, who's got the vote?
Well, Eddie, some individual bravery from some of these outgunned St Helens players. Ian Hardman, James Graham have caught the eye in that department, but in the end it was always going to be a question of who did the most damage for a Bradford team with all the advantages today, and the answer to that in the end we think is Shantaine Happy.
Fair enough, Shantaine Harpy goes home with the watch. He's also going home with a hat-trick of tries. Well done to him, and Robbie Paul is now making his way off the field because I think he's in the blood bin. It was a real clash of heads earlier on.
Then it'd be wise of Brian Noble just to keep him off as well. At 54-4, there's no reason to keep him on. I'm not so sure that the big fella Joe Vangenal will be saying, oh, I was dying to get the hot shower first. Well, I think the captain will.
Okay. Nasty clash of heads about 5 minutes ago. Well, I wonder whether Saints can just get themselves over the whitewash.
Okay, Paul, here we are.
I think they deserve to, mainly with the fact that the effort. You know, we keep saying that you'd have gone for the long kick, you'd have kicked it rather than the power play, and they've played their part. Okay, had done many opportunities.
Release! Release!
That's Bostock. And it goes infield to Anderton and further wide. And this is Ian Hardman, who really has caught the eye.
You certainly remember this game.
Nowhere for James Roby to go.
A lot of reasons.
Anderton again. Hurt.
Yeah.
Anderton.
He went down awkward. Logan Swan. Strong tackle.
And Roby just drills the ball into touch.
Well, he knows that one of his players is injured.
And I think he also would be happy if this break in play would last about 5 minutes.
Well, he didn't know the state of his fellow player, Anderton.
Well, the crowd might boo Ian Millward every time his face is splashed up on the big screen here, but he will have no conscience about this. The well-being of his players, all important, and I think I'm right in saying, Graham Steadman, that is the #1 priority for all of you coaches. Your players, #1, everything else secondary.
Yeah, Ian's going to take a lot of criticism for his selection today, but the fact that we had a tough game against Wigan on Good Friday, to back it up against the Bulls down here at Oxford would have been a big ask. He's looking at the long-term picture, and we've got to be respectful of his decision. The fact that they're obviously figuring in a semi-final Challenge Cup not too far up the track, and it's only round 6 of Super League. There's still a long way to go. Yeah, it's a marathon, not a sprint, and that's why he's looking at the long-term picture.
You took the words out of my mouth. A marathon and not a sprint. That is what the Super League is. A marathon that takes us all the way through to the grand final at Old Trafford in October. And Graham, we will see him in a more accustomed role tomorrow when we have the Castleford Tigers against the Broncos, live from the jungle, 8 o'clock on Sky Sports 1. I fancy that might be a little more of a contest than this has been, because both sides are desperate for 2 points. Phil Clark on the sideline, and closing comments, Phil, on what has been a disappointing spectacle, but for Bradford, well, a very valuable 2 points, an easy 2 points. And it might even turn into 3 with the points difference at the end of the year.
Yeah, it might certainly do that. I think try scorers need to score tries. It's almost the oxygen on which they survive, really, and the confidence is certainly enhanced, even though you might be saying they're playing against an inferior side as Saints go on the break. But Bradford have been pretty impressive. For Saints, well, everybody's got to learn sometime. It's just that we're all impatient and we don't want to be here at times when they do the learning. I thought when the scoreline 46-4, St Helens having to kick off, the ball came down to Joe Vangenau. Liam Bostock sprinted up as quickly as he could to tackle him. I don't know whether he'll have the ability to remove either Cunningham or Hyam from the St Helens side, but he's got character that shows that he'll do all right in life.
Well, again, wrongfully, they're booing at this fella, James Roby, but he knows it's forlorn effort. All they want to do is just get back into the dressing room. It's a game that they want to forget. As we keep saying that you have to start somewhere.
It'll be an ugly scar, though, Steve, won't it, on the St Helens fixture list. And this scoreline of 54-4 at the moment might even be worse. It will be an ugly reminder of Easter Monday.
Yes, it certainly will. That I have to agree with. But yet, when you look at, say, the full-back, Ian Hardman, this could be the day where he just takes that further step and pushes himself forward, get the confidence to say to himself, I think I can make it in Super League.
Mistake here by Bradford. Lost the ball in the tackle.
And I think the Bradford players realise that if St Helens just sneak over for a try here, they are in for a right rollicking from Brian Noble.
Well, can St Helens just give themselves something to remember at the end of this game? This is Yonkers. Yonkers again. And looking down the left-hand side, James Graham. Funati.
He's worked overtime as a winger there, the left winger, but been denied on 3 occasions, very close to the line.
And here's Fasavalu. Fasavalu wide, Funati. They'll score, the Saints.
Is he short?
Oh, he's handed it on to the video referee.
Well, it's a try, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah, see if his foot's on the line.
Was his foot on the line when the ball was plonked down?
Was his elbow there? I think they'll give this.
Well, they deserve it.
Yep, they'll give this.
They'll deserve it.
That's TRY.
Dom Fuanati.
He's worked hard for it as well. Well, the Bulls boys, they can look up the scoreboard and say it's been an easy win.
They've had something to shout about right at the start and right at the end of the match. Gleeson's try in the first 10 minutes and Dom Fuanati's try in the last couple of minutes.
And full credit, I said the Bradford fans would do it, and they all raised when it was brought up on the screen. TRY. Good combination. And he fully deserves it, puts it in. Well, over the opening minutes, they scored a try, did Saints, to start this game, and it looks as though they're going to finish it off in style. But the Bradford players, they will not be happy. They will be going into the sheds, and Mr. Brian Noble will have a few words to say.
They scored in the 3rd minute through Gleeson. 11 tries later from Bradford. Ian Hardman has another attempt to kick a conversion. Just misses. 54 points to 8. Dominic Fuanati.
Fully deserved.
9th consecutive appearance on the wing. There's the full-time siren, it's all over. St Helens' agony is finished. They had the last word, courtesy of Fuanati's try. But in between times, as I say, 11 tries from Saints. Michael Withers didn't, from Bradford. Michael Withers didn't exactly have the best time of things with the boot. But 54 points to 8. Many people would say a hollow victory for Bradford, but 2 points just the same, Steve-O, in this Old Trafford marathon.
Yeah, but you get to the point, Eddie, that it is very, very hollow, and the fact that a lot of these fans will go home, I will go home tonight and sleep and forget about it. Whether the fans do, we will have to wait and see.
Bradford close the gap on Leeds Rhinos, of course, at the top of the Super League table. This is the way it has finished. 11 tries for Bradford. The goals from Deacon, 3 from Withers and 1 from Paul. Gleeson and Funati at the top and the end of the match. 15,500 plus here at Odsal today. A disappointing spectacle for them, but the tries being rolled in by Bradford, and they get the 2 points. And Shongtae Harpy, the man of the match, we will collect his watch for him and give it to him in the dressing room at the end of our transmission here, which is imminent now as we look ahead to what's to come. Castleford against London, Tuesday at 8 on Sky Sports 1. That will be a rigorous contest for the 2 points. At the weekend, Leeds Huddersfield, Friday Sky Sports 3, 7:30. Back at Castleford on Saturday against Wakefield, Saturday at 6, Sky Sports 1. And the Aussies, of course, they're continuing. Cronulla Canberra, Saturday, 8:30 in the morning, Sky Sports 2. And Newcastle against Sydney Roosters, Sunday at 10, also on Sky Sports 2. Easter continues. We had epics on Thursday and Friday. Haven't quite had the epic that we expected when we see Bradford Saints bracketed with each other. Some angry supporters on the terraces, but Bradford have closed the gap at the top of the Tetley Super League. From all of us here, see you at the Jungle.
The Super League on Sky Sports is sponsored by Stan James, your best bet for all the action.
Goodness gracious me! Barry Sanders has got him again!
If someone did this to your little brother,
Vladimir Klitschko all over the place!
what would you do? Vitaly Klitschko goes after Corey Sanders in a fight to become the new heavyweight champion of the world.
What drama!
A new era of heavyweight boxing starts here. The men who would be king. Sanders v. Klitschko. Coming soon. Sky Box Office.
Save up to 60% in the court sale. Plus, there's an extra £300 off these black leather-faced sofas at $579 the pair. Massive extra savings start this Easter weekend.
What you want is a mortgage linked to your pension.
No, you need to make sure it's capped to base rate.
No, they're switching mortgage. They want an interest-only tracker like ours.
Don't listen to him. There's so many mortgages to choose from.
No, I went to Direct Line. They did it all over the phone and their rates are great.
Make sure your mortgage stays at today's low rates with our great fixed rate offer. But hurry, it won't last forever. Call 0800 092 9696. Get a personal illustration to see exactly what our great rates could do for you. Call 0800 092 9696. For a great deal, whether you're moving home or moving mortgage.
Appearances can be deceptive. The new Alpha GT.
And a